Life. I'm Dablola Shaki, and of course, it's a beautiful morning in the city of Lagos, southwest Nigeria. My name is Damlola Shaki. Now, let's start with the front pages of the dailies this morning, and of course, I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with worry in APC, PDP, ADC as party chairman battle conflict. A fresh push to oust Adamu over APC's Muslim ticket items. Wike's camp in fight with IU. Why APC presidential aspirant Pali was botched. Rav's Nwosu's tenure as ADC chairman has lapsed. That's coming from Kachuku. And of course, you can see those stories on page 5. And continuing on this, on page 8, we have presidency. Senate malls banning same fate ticket. Now, inside and of course, the business, we have a premium income in insurers' life pension. Pension segment crashes by 62%, down to 13.6 billion naira in first quarter of 2022 from 36.1 billion naira in first quarter of 2021. Segment nosedives as retirees live longer. Business eroding profit, insurance laments. And you can see that inside Vanguard. On page 7, we have 2023 Northern senators, others upset over Wike's opposition to Atiku, and that's according to Vanguard source. On page 6, we have 9 die in Abuja crash. FRSC warns against 9 trips. On page 7, we have how our federal government save Ajaokuta steel industry, reduce dispute cost to $496 million, and that's according to Malami. On page 13, we have Niger government discovers 4,000 unqualified teachers. That's teachers here, you can see that on page 13. Now, moving on page 8, we have no threat to Nigeria's 2023 elections. Inspector General of Police assures United Nations police chiefs. Air Holdings appoints Ndubisi Osadolo board members. Now, stories above on page 17. We have presidential interview Adewale Adebayo in court. Like Abacha loot, we will recover stolen crude under Buhari. Daily fuel supply remains at 68 million per liter. We also have NNPC insists Obi not on fundraising tour. That's according to its media office, and you can see that on page 11. And of course, the Vanguard Morning Digest, you can see that inside Vanguard newspaper. Now, away from there, we have on the Nation, NNPCL petrol to sell for 462 naira per liter without subsidy. Corporation defends 68 million liter daily consumption claims. There's a custom CG ready for forensic audits. PDP crisis, hope deems for reconciliation. You can see that on page 4. Also, Alaafin too. At the 6-4 screening today, you can see that on page 27. And stories above, we have 15-year J term await land grabbers in Oyo. Banks court work hours to save operational costs. ASU raises 7-man panel to counter smell campaign. You can see that on page 2. And lastly, on the front page of the Nation, we have Nigeria seeks debt for climate swap deal to get relief on $100.6 billion, says a presidency. And you can see that on page 2. Now, away from the Nation, we move to the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with Abba Kyari. NDLEA files 24 charges, seizes 14 mega assets. Agency uncovers a shopping mall, others owned by ex-IRT commander. Kyari deputy UBA fails to declare 100 million naira life insurance policy. And below, we have stories on the front page. That's 2 dead, others trapped in Lagos building collapse. And that can be seen on pages 4 and 5. Stories above, we have a contract termination, federal government to pay foreign firm $496 million. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have subscribers failed to use 98.75 million SIMs, and that's according to reports. And lastly, let's move to The Guardian. The Guardian is leading with Amcon buckles under 5 trillion naira toxic asset recovery and litigations. Recover 1.4 trillion naira out of 5 trillion in 12 years. Shareholders seek dissolution of corporation. Creation was misconceived. can't continue to survive on banks' funding. Debtor firms on life support operators observe trace defaulters to their new investments and arrest them. And you can see the story on the front page. It continues on page 6. Still on page 6, we have you are confused by Atiku's achievements. PDP replies that Tinubu on party's existence. Rivers PDP crisis deepens as party chiefs bicker over alleged threat to life. Stories above, we have NNPC offers to submit to forensic audit of a fuel subsidy. You can see that on page 3. Withdraw suspected APC members as upcoming Rex. Serap urges Buhari. You can see that on page 4. And lastly, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we have more Nigerians may call as active mobile subscription hits 208.6 million. And you can see that on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Break as we analyze the front pages. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Jamilola Ogunshakin. Joining me to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed. He's the CEO of Magnets Communication, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, Mr.
Good morning, Jamilola. How are you?
Very fine. Thank you for joining us. All right, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies this morning. And of course, we still have the parties, and it seems, of course, ahead of this September 28th commencement of campaigns, chairmen of at least 3 of the political parties are enmeshed in one conflict or the other. There are fresh efforts to ensure that the national chairman of the ruling APC, PDP, and ADC do not lead the party's quest to produce President Muhammadu Buhari's successor. What's your take on this? The ADC, the PDP, and the APC's, people against their party chairman.
It is an unusual situation. I thought that these bickerings will come before their different party primaries. But unfortunately, we are seeing all sorts of bickerings after the presidential primaries. This, to me, is abnormal. Because once you have a candidate, the party is duty-bound to all come and queue behind that candidate, no matter the differences among them. But unfortunately, it's been crisis galore in PDP, even in APC, it's been crisis galore. It shows that some of these politicians want more than the victories of their various parties at the polls. Some of them, for reasons best known to them, don't want to support the candidates that has emerged as their flag bearers in their different parties. But you see, it is normal in a democracy to have disagreements. It is also right that when you have disagreements, there must be compromises here and there. In a situation where there are no compromises, then it means self-interest has come in. And where you have self-interest, you see people going to court to challenge their candidates. Some of them who has refused to go to court will insist that no, it must be death or something else. That is the situation we are having in PDP today. And you see, if you don't have compromises here and there, and you go to the battle in that situation, you are not doing your party any good, because you are going to have a factionalized party going for elections. And we have seen, let me cite, I don't know if you know the situation that happened during the election that produced Governor Tedola in Lagos. Dapo Sarumi and Edu were in the same party. Edu won. Sarumi said no. They went to court. And the people became disgusted about those two candidates. And instead, they chose to vote for Tedola. And people voted massively against the other two parties. We can have that kind of situation here if people go to the elections with a divided party, a party that is disunited. You'll see people rising against them and voting for people that don't even deserve victory in the first place. We have to be careful of that kind of situation as we kickstart the campaigns for the 2023 elections later this month. I want to appeal without any sentiments to all the parties concerned. They should close their ranks and go to elections as a united force. Otherwise, the people will revolt.
But do you think APC can be united? Because, of course, the dust raised by the decision of APC to settle for Muslim a presidential ticket, they are yet to settle. Their plot to remove the chairman, they said they want to get him out of the way because they want a Christian to lead the party. And of course, some are saying, this Muslim ticket is a calculated anti-Christian exclusion agenda that is being implemented.
You see, elections are not held based on religion and ethnic differences. There is a candidate now that seem to have support from across the country. I don't want to mention the name of that candidate. But you see, if we have this kind of situation on our hands, the politicians caused it because they have, in the past, divided us along religious and ethnic lines. When Jonathan was the president of Nigeria, the vice president was a Christian, I think. The Senate president, a Christian. People did not really talk about whether these people are Christian or not. People accepted them, voted them in on the basis of the fact that they will be able to perform. Not whether they are Christians or Muslims. By the time we find ourselves at the level that people start judging candidates by their religious affiliations, then I knew that we are in a lot of trouble in this country. That is the creation of politicians. In the past, even during the military days, we've had Christian combination of leaders. And people did not really raise any eyebrows about all this. But of late, people started flaunting religious sentiments as a criteria for the qualification of candidates for election. It is not too good. And that is the result that we are getting today. In the past, I have lived in Nigeria all my life. And I have seen a combination of Christian leaders in different positions in this country. And people did not really bother. The issue of whether somebody is from this tribe or from religion A or B is a recent creation by politicians. And the moment we are able to put this behind us, the better for the country.
But do you think the country can put it behind them?
It is difficult because people have become so much aware of the fact that whoever is going to be president or vice president must either be a Christian or a Muslim, because of this feeling that has become part of us in the last 8 years, that the present administration have an Islamization agenda, either true or false. Nobody has come out to debunk it or to confirm it. But if you look at the body mechanism of the government, vis-a-vis what is happening, the killings in southern Kaduna, burning of churches by Boko Haram and all that, without any serious government intervention, people now start thinking that, look, there is an Islamization agenda, which the government itself have not been able to debunk. So it has become a clear thing in the minds of people that if we are not careful and we allow the next government to sail through with a Muslim ticket. We are going to continue with this Islamization agenda. The government of today must sit down and be able to put the minds of Nigerians at rest that there is no Islamization agenda. And I doubt that's going to be an equivalent task, considering what has happened in the past. You understand what I'm saying? So, as a government, as a people, we must be careful about our actions, about our body languages, so that people will not misinterpret them. That is the cause of the present doubts that a Muslim ticket could fly. MKO Abiola, that had a Muslim ticket, had this reputation of somebody who grew up and schooled in a Christian way. He went to Christian schools, and he has this free mind towards both religion. And when he had that ticket, it flew. Don't forget that he won the election and it was annulled. The election was annulled not because it was a Muslim ticket, but because the government then didn't want to go. The military government we had then didn't want to go. If you look at the situation of religious tolerance in Nigeria between then and now, you will see that a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed. People now do certain things based on religious affiliations. And this is caused mostly by our politicians, who feel that if you must occupy a position, you must be a Muslim. There is a list of people that I saw recently online about the appointments in NNPC Limited. All of them are Muslims. There is no Christian among them. If it is true, then it is a creation of this.
So don't you think this is why people are agitating for the party leader to leave? Let
me just conclude this. If that list, the list as composed and exposed online, if it is true, then the people will have every reason to believe and continue to talk about the Islamization agenda of this present government. Yes, I'm listening.
All right, let's just move away from Muslim tickets and talk about Atiku and Wike, their frosty relationship. And of course, we know it's been a long time now. And despite the fact that, they came up with this reconciliation committee to resolve these issues between both of them, we have not seen a way out.
I have always said it that in politics there must be what is called give and take. From what is going on, it is like Governor Wike have its own agenda, which he wanted to be implemented after the party primaries, which didn't happen. And that agenda is for him to be vice president of Nigeria. But unfortunately, for their candidate who set up a committee to select a vice president for Nigeria, that committee picked Wike, and the presidential candidate went ahead the recommendation of the party to pick the governor of Delta State, Okowa, instead. That to me was not tactical. If you are setting up a committee and you already have a candidate in mind, as a politician, you should be able to influence the decision of that committee on the choice of who is going to be your vice. But Atiku made that tactical error by giving the committee a free hand to choose a candidate, and they went ahead to choose Wike. And I read an interview where Wike said nobody is more qualified to be vice president of Nigeria than him. That is what the crux of the matter. That is what is paining the guy. And already Atiku has picked a vice. It will be difficult for him at this stage to say, no, I'm going back on my decision. If you want him to be a leader that is worth its salt. And I expect again that there must be some compromises from the Atiku camp. I don't know the content of their discussions in London, but if there were discussions without compromises, then the crisis may not end soon. And as a politician, Wike should also be strategic. If he continues this way and he leaves government, he may face political oblivion if care is not taken, because nobody behaves the way he's doing who doesn't want to give in to compromises and who doesn't want to make some sacrifices for his party because he's governor of Rivers State, because he has invested heavily in PDP when there was nobody to invest on that party. No matter what he has done for the party, you don't throw away the baby with the bathwater.
Okay, let's talk about Ayu himself now. Ayu, I think earlier on we talked about Ayu, the fact that when this whole stuff first started, his presidential ticket, he said if a Muslim comes out to become the president, he's going to resign. But right now, Wike is requesting for his resignation, but he's not resigning. He said that he would not resign, and that those asking him to resign were children who were not there when he teamed up with other leaders to find PDP in 1998.
By the nature of Nigeria, politicians come up with political statements to whip up sentiments, only to realize that whatever statements they have made was made in error. And Ayu's statement to me was like that. He never thought that Atiku will emerge as the candidate of PDP. Atiku has emerged. And by the way, as an elected officer of the party, he can only resign if you want to resign. And no matter what anybody is saying that Ayu should resign, no matter what his offenses are, it is either you go to court or convene another convention where you will mobilize a majority of the party members to force him to resign. You can't just force the chairman of a party who was elected at a convention to resign, no matter your grounds. He was not appointed. If he was appointed by maybe the party National Working Committee with a letter, then you can pressurize the National Working Committee to force him to resign. No, he was elected. So it is not too right to insist that Ayu must resign. Except if you insist that he must resign, go to a duly convened court and present your reasons before that court. If I am Ayu, and I know I have not done anything wrong, I have not stolen money, I have not committed any anti-party activities, and somebody is saying that I should resign, will I resign? No. That is the procedure. I am appealing to Governor Wike because he should look beyond now. In the next 7 or 8 months, he's going to live as the governor of that state. What will be the situation politically with him? The same power that he is using today, some other folks will come up and use the power to send him to political oblivion if he's not careful.
I guess you have to go also according to what our source is saying. He said that the North is taking note of what Wike is doing to Atiku.
Yes.
And he lost an election and he should have turned his opposition. It should have turned the opposition into an age of long North-South divide. That he's a poor student of history and has forgotten that Atiku is not highest representative in the election. That is what
that is a fact. Atiku is a representative of the North, and right now the North has come up with one voice to speak. Now we are going back to the political division that politicians have always thrown the entire nation. You can see that the crisis in PDP has gone to the level of the North versus the South now. That's a division. And if we are not careful, that division will be carried into the general election in 2023. So when people insist on ethnic and religious sentiments, it is a time bomb that we must work against, because that bomb could explode against and in favor of some people. So we have to be careful. Religion and politics, they are very, very critical issues that we must be careful with if we want to have a peaceful country. If we want to have a peaceful country, that's my warning. We have to be careful in our ways of dividing the people along ethnic and religious lines.
All right, lastly, let's quickly look at this one. The federal government has uncovered 14 assets, including shopping malls, residential estates, polo playground, lands and farmland belonging to a former commander, intelligence response team, Abba Kyari, a deputy commissioner of police. Kyari was said to have failed to disclose his ownership of the properties in different locations in the federal capital. And they also recovered over 7 million and 17,000 pounds, 17,598 pounds. They were also discovered in various account offices.
If that is true, it is shocking. A police officer having so much property.
I also have to talk about the money too.
And the money, that's a lot. That means the super corps was truly into something else apart from his police duties. I think the government at this stage should allow the NDLEA a free hand to handle this matter. Because if you look at the lifestyle of Kyari, going out, partying with known fraudulent people, drug peddlers all over Nigeria, then what they have found in his accounts and the property that he has bought with drug money, in quote now, cannot come as a shock. He was living a very flamboyant. I've met him a couple of times driving various flashy cars, and I wondered if he was truly a policeman and not a businessman. No, the government should not interfere in this matter. They should allow the NDLEA to pursue this case to a logical end. Tribalism, ethnic sentiments, religious sentiments must not come into play in this case, because the problem we have in Nigeria is impunity. I keep saying it. Impunity will breed corruption. Impunity will breed bad system. Impunity will breed kidnapping. When people don't get punished for the crimes they commit, people see it as a way of life. And once people see criminal activities as a way of life in a country, that country is doomed. We must discourage impunity. Let people get punished for the offenses they commit. Not that he will be jailed today and in the next 6 months he will be freed. And all the assets that he has stolen will be returned to him. That is not a good way of life for a truly great nation like Nigeria. Impunity is why we have bandits going to kidnap 32 people who were coming from a burial ceremony in a part of Ondo State last weekend. Why would armed people in the broad daylight storm the roads, storm the highway, and stop people, kidnap them, walk them freely for over 2-3 hours into the bushes? By now, they will be demanding for ransom. And no security activity, no security action took place. That, to me, is the highest level of impunity. And impunity destroys every great country where it thrives. So government must sit down and look at what to do, what solutions it must give to the problem of impunity in Nigeria.
All right, let's just end this on lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. And speaking first this morning is Mr. It says, he told you I insulted him. Why not? He owed me some money. Instead of paying up, he was telling me about the latest song. I told him that the only sound I'm interested in is an alert from my bank. Or are you not interested in any music? And Mrs. replied, only the type you are interested in. Of course, it's the alert.
Most usual of women, especially married women.
I know. I think you also have to take that away. Students are also interested in this same music. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Aliu, for joining us this morning.
You're most welcome.
Yes, and he's now the CEO of Magnet Communication, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. He just analyzed some of the story on the front pages with us this morning. Now, to get more of our top stories, you can follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. And to get more of our top stories, you can follow on our website, www.vanguardngr.com. Today is Monday. Please enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Damlola Okunshakin. It's bye from us on Today in the News.